Well, welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. I'm so glad you could attend. Come inside. Come inside. Today, we have a Fiddleback Forge custom, super dope, handle material, vintage layered micarta, natural liners, orange and white pinstripes, badass. The blade material is A2 steel. It is 5/32 inch thick. It has a tapered tang, which I always find interesting. Convex grind. The blade length is 6 1/4. Now I got a little over that, but 6 1/4. The overall length's just a hair over 11 1/4. Awesome, awesome knife. Now let me fill in a couple more measurements for you. The inner grip, which to me is the most important, and I say that, guys, it's the most important to me, just having these old ass busted up hands. The inner grip is 4 3/8. Okay, so just about any human being on the planet will be able to grab this. The handle thickness, I'm going to give you 3 different thicknesses. We have at the top 3/4. It tapers in. And then we go to the middle, which is right about 7/8. And then at the bottom, we go back to 3/4. The blade width is 1 1/2 normally. The hump that you see adds a 1/4 inch. It's 1 3/4. I would call this kind of like a modified clip point. Feels amazing in hand. It almost feels like a little pirate's knife. It's thin, it's slicey. This was a slicer. Now, let me just say this. JR sent this to me to check out. And man, this one, I am super digging. Easy to control. This isn't a banger, clanger, crasher, basher. This is a slicing, cutting tool. Now, I like showing y'all those air potatoes, which is an invasive species to Florida, so I have zero problem knocking them down and cutting them up. They're thicker and slimier than a real potato as far as like texture, so it provides like a little bit of a challenge. And then we have our 4-ply 1-inch diameter sandblast hose. I can tell you this, boys, this thing feels amazing in hand. Now, Andy over at Fiddleback Forge is just a class act, and he is an amazing maker. The dude knows his shit. I like A2. I like tool steels in general. This seemed to be really done well. Kind of thin. It is a convex, but it cut. Look right here. Let's look at the tapered tang. Doing a little dropping, a little throwing, the Donnie B all day, drop it on the stump and throw it at the stump test. Basically, all we're doing is checking the balance, seeing how it falls. I like sticking it in the stump. It dropped dead nuts. I think I screwed one of the throws up, probably right here. Nope. Maybe right here. Nope. I must have edited it out. I don't always do that, but I did this time. The deal is, and I can't remember if it's this knife or the knife before. Every now and then, man, I'll bounce one. The stabbing test, okay, so let's talk about stabbing. It doesn't have much of a guard, so you have to be careful. You really do. But the pommel is conducive to putting your thumb on and giving you a little protection. I didn't do a lot of stabbing with it. Here we're cutting that thick-ass mushroom off the side of this oak. Now, I highly recommend not eating that. I don't know what kind it is. That's on my to-do list to start to learn kind of the floral and fauna of Northeast Florida. Obviously a mushroom, I'm not sure, but it was thick and it was really tough. It was a really tough mushroom. I had the idea just to kind of, slice it, and it was a little tougher. This is the boop test invented by Peterbilt Knife Guy. If you're not subscribed to Kev, you need to be. He is doing an awesome job right now, driving knives through nails and driving everybody crazy, especially the buckaroo. So check Kev out. But I like the boop test, and then we go into kind of a making just kind of a tent stake. It's a common thing. You can make some tent stakes. If you can make tent stakes, snares, traps, things like that, tri-stick, this knife is excellent for that. I think this will be an excellent camp knife. There's a ton of stuff, food processor, skinner, filleter. Now, this is a knife I really believe could be kind of a catch-all, do-all. I'm not saying it masters all of those things, understand? But I am saying I think with the right skill set, and that's most knives, if you put a good edge on it. This one's a little easier to work with, and I'll be honest with you, I know it's not a Nesmic. Let me say this again. I know it's not a Nesmic, but that hump on the back is reminiscent. I kept thinking it was kind of a pointy Nesmic. Now, I'm going to get, no, it ain't a Nesmic, Cab. This guy don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. I know y'all listen about every other 5 sentences, but it does remind me of that. The grip felt really good in hand, man. That layered micarta, man, it just feels good, doesn't it? It almost feels like a G10 or more like, and this is a polished micarta. You can get a good grip. I didn't deal with a lot of slippage. I really didn't. It's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I like the hammered look on it. I like that little clip point. I don't know why, but it just reminds me of a little mini pirate sword. Very, very handy. Now, I always talk about would I carry it or not. Well, one, this thing come in on the sharpness of 9.5. I mean, it's sharp as shit, right? Love that. The fit and finish, 10 out of 10. Has to be. Fiddleback is known for that. Did a great job on that. Everything's just executed very, very well. It does have a 90-degree spine, but it's contoured. And when I say that, I don't mean to be contradictory. What I mean is it will strike a ferrocenium rod, right? But it won't wear you out if you're doing fine work and things like that, and you got to put pressure on the back of the knife. It won't do that. It does have a lanyard hole. Again, very, very comfortable in hand. That 4 3/8 inner grip just adds a different dimension. It really, truly does. Getting our zip tie test done here, and again, it's not about being sharp. Any knife should be able to cut them, and if it can't cut them, most knives will prime. The idea is to put pressure on the edge and see if it'll chip. I talked about that some last night with Casey. Shout out to Casey, Knives Fast. He had me on as a guest on his live on Monday night, and I was really, really appreciative of him. Please check out Knives Fast. Check out that live. We had a great time. Really, really good time there. And thank you not only to Casey, but to his subscribers for welcoming in and just being very, very kind and courteous. And I really enjoyed that. The thing is this, guys, about Fiddleback. As I've learned, I'm learning every day in this knife world, in knife tube. And you hear about certain companies, and I've been able to put my hands on a few Fiddleback 4s. And all I heard before I did it was, man, you got to try Fiddleback. Andy's awesome, over and over again. And when you hear those things, you get excited about reviewing, but you also look a little side-eyed towards it. You know what I'm saying? Are these guys just fanboys talking? What's going on? But I can tell you just from my experience and the knives I've tested, I cannot speak outside of that realm, and I will not. But everything that I've put my hands on is quality. Now, Fiddleback's a custom maker, so you're going to pay more. If you're into knives and you're into that area of knives, then they're costly. And I always, is it worth it? Man, that's up to you. It's up to your budget. For me, I would kill to own one. But I love knives. I love steel. I love well executed. Another thing I talked with Casey about last night, he asked me, he said, Scab, what is your favorite knife test? What's the one knife test that you get a knife and you can't wait to do? Now, everybody, I think, thought it would be tire stabbing or chopping. It's actually, and this is truthful, slicing paper. Why? Because I love a keen, sharp edge. I like a razor's edge, and when I get a knife in, you can kind of slide your finger without putting pressure. You know what I'm saying? Just checking the edge. And man, when you kind of check the edge and you get goosebumps and you're like, this thing's sharp, there's nothing better than the sound or the feel. This knife absolutely did not disappoint. I was incredibly impressed. And again, people will say, man, it don't matter about the maker. It's great. Yeah, we have good knives on the channel. Hey, what am I supposed to apologize for that? Tell you what you do. Hold your breath and wait on me too. See how long you make it. We try to have the best knives that I can show you. I try to throw in all kinds. I really do. But also, guys, this is my way of relaxing. This is my passion. It is my hobby. And I enjoy doing the nicer stuff. I didn't say more expensive. I said nicer, well done stuff. And JR is a godsend to this channel. And each time somebody sends me something, I try to always be appreciative. There's JR, there's Timbo, and there's Rusty. There's a couple more guys. But JR is a guy who keeps this channel in knives, and I am forever appreciative. Would I carry it? I just said I'd kill too. And that's not being dramatic. I like the knife a lot, but I like custom knives. Having said that, guys, let me get into this. I wanted to use a little more time tonight. There was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives. Now, stats are everywhere. They are. And this past Saturday, I sat down and had lunch. Megatron and I had lunch with a retired Master Chief and his wife. And he and I were talking about this subject. And he shared an experience with me with his friend. And we were talking about how it happens to guys. These aren't weak men and women. They're not. Matter of fact, a lot of times you have no idea they're crying out for help. Vets, we love you. There's nothing here that I can say or do to turn you around or anything like that. My goal here is just to raise awareness, and hopefully somebody that can do something, that does know something, will step up. The other side is this. If you're struggling, we just want you to know we love you. And there are a shit ton of vets who stand behind me in that sentiment. They watch this channel, and they are here to talk if you need them. I back the blue. It's not popular. People like to call names and do all that shit. Listen, I have my reason. I come right out here on this sumbitch. I stand right before this camera and I say it. I don't back down. I show my face. People say, well, back the blue till it happens to you. It's happened to me more than it'll happen to most of them. I have my reasons. And if you're not going to stand on it, or if you expect me to come up here and be half-assed about it, I'm not. I'm not going to shove it down your throat. But I am going to stand on what I say. Finally, if you are an addict, and I am. I've never ran from that. Never quit quitting. Well, boys, I love you. God knows I do. I hope y'all have had a great day. Please be careful of this bad weather coming. I'm Scab. You're not. JR, thank you. We gone, son.